Hello everyone. So I'm making a big call in this video, and that is anxiety setbacks. As much as we focus on them, we talk about them, they're actually a myth. So that's right, anxiety setbacks are a myth. I've just sort of been typing away at my new book that I'm hopefully going to release early next year if I get my butt into gear. But as I was reflecting on setbacks, and when you look at the YouTube channel, you'll see it's sort of very popular in terms of the setbacks as a topic. Because understandably, when we're in a mythical setback, it feels quite distressing. It feels frustrating. We feel depleted. We feel like we're going backwards, all that sort of stuff. But the working title for the chapter that I've got on setbacks is at the moment shifts in cycles or cyclic shifts. And that really goes to answering the question of why is it do we experience these troughs of energy during the process? So we have these peaks of anxiety, we feel troughs, we feel depletion, we feel frustrated. So as we're going through the recovery process, it is normal that we experience these troughs where we get low mood, we feel the symptoms are coming again, we feel frustrated, we feel like we're never going to recover. And so it does feel like a setback. So it's kind of like the bluff of anxiety. Anxiety is simply us reacting to the adrenaline that's being released because our nervous system is sensitized. That's reacting to a trigger, a thought, a situation, an event, whatever it is, depending on our lifestyle, who we are, our culture, whatever we were exposed to when we were highly sensitized, didn't realize and had that first, second, third, fourth experience of anxiety, whether we had a panic attack, a surge of adrenaline when we were at the supermarket, when it was a social situation, whether we were flying, whether we felt confined in a space. It's all subjective depending on what we were doing at the time. We crossed the threshold into sensitization. If this is all gobbledygook to you, make sure you watch the Anxiety Cure video series and check out the masterclasses and guided practices on my website, openchange.com.au, so you can get the full understanding of what anxiety is, because that will then make this video make more sense. But again, the reason why setbacks are similarly a bluff is because they feel like we've gone backwards in the journey. It feels like it's harder to recover, that all that progress has gone down the drain. One moment I was feeling great, the same afternoon I'm feeling terrible, and we're back in the bluff. But these are just natural cycles in energy changes that are predictable because of the process of change. That's how change works. I think in the book I'm writing that these are just normal cycles of energy changing that we should anticipate. So it's like when the seasons change, warm pockets or warm air systems come in, they take over from the cold or vice versa, but they sort of come in, we get some warmer days, they go back, the cold takes over again. But over time, the warm air gets bigger and bigger, the momentum comes in and it eventually takes over. You can consider those warm air flows the allowing methods and tools that you're learning through this channel. Again, there's guided practices on my website if you don't know what I'm talking about, but all the practices you do will build the momentum. So just like the warm air flows eventually come in more and more, they come in for a bit, the cold air cycles back a bit more as it's moving out. So we should expect that the old resistance anxiety habits won't just disappear overnight. You've heard me talk about in a lot of the videos on setbacks, but they should be expected. So we've done some great work on forming neural pathways that correspond to the habit of allowing, but it's normal that the old neural pathways, which I've talked about before, are still there, they're still activating, so the momentum behind them that's been established through all the years or weeks, months or years of resistance are still there, so they'll cycle back as they ultimately cycle away and out and as those neural pathways weaken. So we should really expect them to come back in, just like there's as the weather systems change. When the tides come in and out, we don't just think, oh gosh, the sand on the beach is gone, just because we see it in the afternoon and the tides come in. We know that it's there. We know that these cycles are to be expected. The reason why they feel like a setback is because it's anxiety. The old resistance habits are fear habits because of the release of adrenaline. So it's a bit of a paradox. Whilst we should expect them to come back in, we should expect them to make us feel fearful, for the voice of doubt to be stronger when they come back. And it just means it's another chance to practice. The more we see these energy cycles for what they are, the more awareness we have when they come back. Oh, this is just another energy shift in energy. Just going through a bit of a reset in the natural energy cycle. It's a bit of a change of season. We've gone from day into nighttime, but we know that system will always cycle out again. The more we allow it, then the smaller it will get. The momentum behind it will shrink, and we'll start to desensitize and recover. So they're entirely predictable. And so in essence, they're not really setbacks because we're not going backward. We haven't done anything wrong. This is just the process of habit formation. Remember, any habit, anything that's repeated over time, the body thinks is essential because we've done it so frequently, including the anxiety habit. We've thought about it often and often. We've been resisting, pushing aside, fighting, pushing through. The body thinks that's essential. So anything that becomes as part of an unconscious program in the brain, the body thinks is essential. Just like when we're walking across the street, car coming at us, we don't want to forget the autopilot habit of jumping out of the way of danger. So all habits are hard to shift because most of them are really good and useful. But the brain just thinks if we've done something often enough, it must be essential, even if we now know the anxiety habit was a survival technique we learned perhaps early on in life to get through stressful events. We now know it's not necessary, so we just have to allow these cycles to come up. And as they come up, we're retraining the brain. We react less to them when these cycles change, when the old cycle comes back up, the old resistance habit comes in, the old fear arises. The less we react to it, the more it starts to cycle out of the picture, come back with less intensity as we desensitize. So again, they're entirely predictable. They're not really setbacks because we're not going backwards at all. And the less we resist them, of course, then we can get perspective on them by using the same techniques, treating them just as more anxiety. Even if we've had some good weeks, a good day, and it's come back, we can start to go, great, this is just a natural shift in cycle. Work with it. The more we work with it and resist it less, then that's how we recover quicker. But that mindset shift of thinking, actually, this is not really a setback. This is to be anticipated and predicted, and knowing that the energy fueling the current cycle of resistance, just like any anxiety, it will always dissipate as the cortisol adrenaline peters out. It can't last, just like the weather always changes. The resistance cycles can't last either. And that's all it is. It's all part of the bluff. I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you haven't watched the Anxiety Cure series, please watch that on here as well, as that goes through all the basics around anxiety and what nervous system sensitization is, which is the true cause of anxiety. I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Take care.